The new year is here, and with it comes a lot of expectations in regards to the sports world. And for the ever-ready UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship, they're more pumped than ever to go and bring fights to you from various locations, including Fight Island, and dazzle you with their best fighters. But given that its schedules and fights are in flux, that leaves it open to what could actually happen. So, what are the fights we know about, and what are the ones that could happen if the fates allow? Allow us to show you the most anticipated UFC fights of 2021. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10. Pryor vs. McGregor 2. Happening at UFC 257, Pryor vs. McGregor 2 is the highly anticipated return, again, of Conor McGregor, who is aiming to reassert his dominance in MMA after having a successful return to the MMA world with a quick win last year. The real intrigue of Pryor vs. McGregor 2 is twofold. First, the first time this fight happened, it was a classic McGregor-style build-up, and that there was a lot of trash talk before the two ever stepped into the octagon. Then, when the fight happened, McGregor won, which seemed to prove that he was the better man. But now that the rematch is here, Pryor is out for revenge, and McGregor needs to be mindful of this should things not go as planned. The other catch in this fight is that it was originally meant to determine the #1 contender for the UFC lightweight title. However, after the shocking retirement of Khabib the Eagle, the belt might be put on the line for this fight. So they might have a new champion to help ring in the new year, and you can bet that both men will fight harder should the belt be up for grabs. Number 9. Holloway vs. Qatar. The first UFC event in 2021 will be a UFC Fight Night on the 16th, and there were some big fights coming, including a key matchup in the featherweight division as it's Holloway vs. Qatar. Holloway, 21-6, has lost twice in a row to Alexander Volkanovski in very close UFC featherweight title fights and is looking to rebound to get back into the title picture. The Hawaii native is one of the most decorated featherweight fighters in MMA history. Holloway, 29, owns the longest winning streak of 14, the most wins, 16, and the most finishes, 8, ever in the UFC featherweight division. Qatar, 22-4, has won 2 in a row and 4 of his last 5. The Massachusetts native is coming off a unanimous decision win over Dan Ige last July. Another key element to this fight, though, is that this will air on ABC, marking UFC's cable TV return. We are excited to collaborate with ABC to televise the first UFC event of 2021 and the first ever live UFC event on the ABC network. ESPN Executive Vice President of Programming and Original Content Burt Magnus said in a statement, "Fight Island has captured the excitement and imagination of sports fans worldwide, and what better way to start the year than by simulcasting the main card of UFC Fight Night, Holloway vs. Qatar, on ESPN Plus and ABC." Number 8. Max Griffin vs. Song Kenan. Headed into March for UFC Fight Night 190, we have Max Griffin vs. Song Kenan, another potential high-impact match in the welterweight division. Griffin, 16-8 MMA and 4-6 UFC, bounced back from 2 consecutive losses when he fought Ramiz Brahimaj at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. In the 3rd round, Griffin splattered Brahimaj's ear with a punch that nearly detached it completely from the opponent's head. The gory sequence caused the fight to be waved off at the discretion of the cage-side physician, which was smart for obvious reasons. Over the span of his most recent 4 fights, Griffin beat Brahimaj and Zelim Imadaev, 2 wins that are separated by losses to Alex Moreno and Alex Oliveira. China's Kenan, 16-5 MMA and 4-1 UFC, has won 4 of his most recent 5 outings. Most recently, he knocked out Kalen Potter. Kenan also holds UFC wins over Bobby Nash, Hector Aldana, and Derek Krantz. Number 7. Alexander Rakic vs. Thiago Santos. Next up, there's UFC 259, and a potentially title match-affecting bout will happen between Alexander Rakic and Thiago Santos. Number 4 ranked light heavyweight Alexander Rakic has had an impressive run in his first 3 years in the UFC, tallying a record 5-1 in the promotion. In his most recent fight, Rakic was able to defeat Anthony Smith via unanimous decision in August, which is what catapulted Rakic to inside of the top 5 of the division and now has him in line for arguably the toughest fight for him thus far in the UFC run. former title challenger Thiago Santos, and Rakic could not possibly be more motivated to get a victory. Santos will be motivated as well, as he has lost the last 2 fights. But a big redemption win here could absolutely turn things around in his favor. Number 6. Dominic Cruz vs. Casey Kenny. Finally, of the known fights you should be hyped for, and also the UFC 259, we have a bantamweight match with Dominic Cruz and Casey Kenny. The fight will mark Cruz's first non-title bout in more than 6 years. He last fought in May when he lost to then bantamweight champion Henry Cejudo via second-round TKO. That was Cruz's first fight in 3.5 years. His last victory came in June 2016 at UFC 199 versus rival Urijah Faber. Kenny, 29, has won 3 fights in a row and 5 of 6 in the UFC. He most recently defeated Nathaniel Wood via unanimous decision in October. You can expect a hard-hitting match in this one, no matter who wins. Both sides want the victory for different reasons, but that could just add to the greatness of the fight overall. Number 5, potential fight number 1, Leon Edwards vs. Khamzat Chimaev. We start with a potential matchup that honestly should have happened already. Leon Edwards vs. Khamzat Chimaev was meant to be a fight night main event, which shows the caliber of the two men. However, one of them tested positive for COVID, and thus the fight was postponed. Furthermore, due to the lockdown restrictions, Edwards hasn't been able to leave his home of England until very recently. This fight is destined to be important. It may not be a fight of the night, as both men have proven they can end fights in dramatic and quick fashion, but it will be important. A win for Edwards secures his claim as the next #1 contender after being overlooked by many. If he derails the Chimaev hype train, there's nothing else for him but a rematch with welterweight champion Kamaru Usman. Number 4, Colby Covington vs. Jorge Masvidal. This is set to be the ultimate grudge match of 2021, should you believe the bad blood between these two fighters is legitimate and not just a publicity stunt. These two former teammates and friends are also the last 2 to fall victim to current welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, and both feel they deserve another crack at the gold. And their bounces back from their losses to Usman seems to prove this beautifully. They have been talking trash all over the place as to who is more deserving, and if these two are the last 2 top contenders, why not have them fight each other to see who gets the title shot next? Makes perfect sense to us. Number 3, Israel Adesanya vs. Jan Blachowicz. This one could be epic because it could be a champion versus champion match, and those rarely disappoint. The mega superstar middleweight champion Israel Adesanya is meant to move up in weight to challenge for his second title against arguably the most underrated and overlooked champion in the UFC currently, light heavyweight champ Jan Blachowicz. These two men dominated in 2019 and made the best of 2020 with the matches presented to them. This fight could be a classic if it happens, and trust us when we say many want it to happen. Number 2, Stipe Miocic vs. Francis Ngannou. It's hard to deny the mass appeal of a heavyweight title fight, and that is why truly must-have fight for 2021 has to be the seemingly undeniable rematch between champion Stipe Miocic and monster challenger Francis Ngannou. These two have had a very interesting path since their last clash for the title, and Ngannou definitely wants payback. But will he get it and the title? We'll find out if it happens. Number 1, McGregor versus... We're going to go out on a limb here and say that Conor McGregor is going to win his fight against Pryor. But if he does, and he does become the champ once again, who's next? There are honestly a lot of possibilities now that Khabib is out and Pryor, for the time being, will be left behind McGregor. But no matter who you cast as his challenger, you can expect a big fight and McGregor to do what he does best, make it rain, both in regards to money and insults. So, what do you think? What do you think of this look at the 5 UFC fights that you should be anticipated for, and the 5 fights that will get you hyped if they happen? Which of these fights are you most looking forward to? Or do you want to see? What do you think the outcomes will be of these fights? And do you have any other potential fights that you think would be awesome to see in 2021? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.